Welcome to the Sourcing Industry Landscape podcast, hosted by Dawn Tiura, CEO and President of SIG.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're joining us today for the podcast. I have a new guest in our studio today, and it's Brad Killinger, and he is the CEO of Sapience Analytics. Who is Sapience? Well, you're going to find out. More importantly, you're going to learn about Brad. So Brad has joined Sapience Analytics, the global leader in workforce analytics, as president in August of 2017, and was named CEO and elected to the board of directors shortly after. He's responsible for the execution of their global strategy. He has a passion for helping customers succeed and is the driving force behind the vision and business results. He has served in key global leadership positions in many major tech companies, including IBM, Oracle, and Unisys. Brad is passionate about continuing to promote Sapience Analytics' disruptive technology within the marketplace by communicating its unique value proposition. So welcome to the podcast, Brad. I'm so glad you could join us.
Hello, Dawn. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And I always love your energy. But before we get started, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. When we return, we're going to hear from our guest, Brad Killinger.
What is SIG University? We are an inclusive, internationally recognized university whose mission is to advance the procurement profession while enabling students to transform their careers through our world-class certifications. SIG University offers industry-recognized certifications programs, each offering a unique set of competencies and skills that sourcing and risk professionals need to be successful. The programs provide advanced training in subjects like strategic sourcing, supplier management, third-party risk management, intelligent automation, and more. SIG University is committed to academic excellence, which is why our students are trained alongside an international cohort, engage in discussion forums, and learn from senior practitioner faculty who leverage their deep industry experience with real-world case studies. Why SIG University? It was created originally at the request of SIG members. We knew there was a lot of training out there, but nothing designed around the ever-evolving skills and competencies that the modern sourcing and risk professional needs. The program was created through collaborating with dozens of industry experts to create a curriculum that is bold, fresh, and applicable to this day and age. If you're looking to advance your knowledge and your career, join us at SIG University. So, Brad, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Killinger. But
Killinger. Okay.
Killinger. But I'm close. It's close enough for government work. We're good.
Okay. I got the G in there. I just didn't do it right. Okay. So tell our audience, Sapience Analytics, give us the sort of thumbnail as to what it is you do and why you're so passionate about it.
Well, so Sapience Analytics is a highly innovative SaaS platform where we were really set out specifically around, I'd say, two different missions. And mission number one, which is probably more applicable for what we're doing, was really to help bring true transparent relationships between suppliers and enterprises, and specifically around contingent workforce. We have a whole other side of our business, which is, focused around enterprise workers. I like to call us kind of the Fitbit for the white collar worker. And so, very interesting, but really, if you think of Sapience, we are, really focused on helping corporations leverage their own data to really create true competitive advantage across their enterprise.
Okay, so then has your company been impacted by current economic conditions, whether we want to say we're in a stagflation or inflation period right now, inflationary period?
Absolutely. So we've been impacted in a super positive way. I would say over, since 2020, I guess, from the pandemic and now kind of in the aftermath and what's reemerging, what we've seen is a real large scale push from, our enterprise customers who are really trying to figure out how do they embrace all these changes. So whether that's, some are good, with, take hybrid work models, take it more distributed work environments, more diversity of, suppliers inside of the portfolio, all the way down to, where they're working from. How do you create kind of next generation, more data driven, type relationships so that, ultimately you can understand, hey, these are places where we're getting better value for money. These are maybe areas where we're not getting as much value for that money. How do we rethink that? And, and ultimately put it in the big context where, yes, you have, a lot of strange things. You have, inflation going, at rates I've never seen. I've been in the workforce 26 years. We've never had inflation like this. So I think there's been a lot of push to try to figure out, here's how we've done it for 25 years. Are there different ways, different approaches of how we think about, managing a contingent workforce, thinking through, the different challenges that exist inside your overall workforce. And so it's been really, really good for us. We've been growing at a very high rate, and really benefiting is, I think our value proposition is really resonating in the marketplace today.
Well, it is. And the buzz around Sapience has just been, getting louder and louder and louder. So people are talking about you, where a couple of years ago, they say, oh yeah, I've heard of them. Now they're like, oh, we have Sapience. It's amazing. So you're doing a great job, whatever it is.
Thank you.
But I also noticed that you changed a little bit of your wording and sharpened your message a little bit on your website. I was sneaking in there the other day. So what have you seen or experienced in the marketplace that would sort of change your tone or cause this adaptation of your messaging?
Well, I think there's three things around that. One is, call our timing was impeccable, but in the background. So I know, we've known, worked with SIG over 5-6 years, I think now. So on April 1st of 20, we announced a secret project we'd been working on in the background, which was a complete from the ground up rewrite of a whole new SaaS-based platform for Sapience. And so there was a couple other headlines, namely COVID and the world shutting down, that maybe we didn't get the whole fanfare that we were envisioning in 2019 that we'd get on that launch. But, it was really important for us as a company, because what that technology platform allowed us to do, if you think of version 1.0 of Sapience, it was really about collecting work time and effort and being able to do that in an automated way where we could start to draw correlations. In our next generation platform, the game has totally changed. So we were able to put inside of there a whole integrations framework. So, we had a lot of customers that were asking us, hey, effort's one thing, we want to understand output so they can understand, how to better truly have input to output correlations. We were able to put a very powerful BI engine on the back of it, so that, we like to talk a lot about, it's literally our customers' data. It's not our data. We don't supplement it. And we were sitting there saying, it's your data, your way. So the ability to then be able to take hugely complex amounts of data and turn that into really actionable insights is something that technology platform enabled us to be able to do. And so that's been interesting. And then I think the third part is that, we battled a lot in the early years in the company, which was, we were always screaming at the rooftop saying, we are not Big Brother. We've never looked at anybody's personal data. We don't care about personal data. I don't care if, people go to wellsfargo.com or Facebook, or, people have lives too. And so we were able to really hone that messaging because, again, we're just looking when somebody's engaging in work that you've authorized them to do, where are they doing it? How much of that can they do? And where might those opportunities for, improvement lay? And so, that's a big area for us. And, that messaging for us, I think, became very clear, which, on one side was about half of our business is supporting, procurement professionals who are really trying to manage these complex supplier relationships. Many of our customers, they have 10 to 30,000, folks who are, 8,000 miles away across different suppliers. And so what we can do through our, automated data capture by ingesting some of their data streams is really create kind of the easy button so they can understand that, what we call kind of value for money statement. And so, we've put a lot of, laser focus into saying, how do we make that the most impactful experience, calling out data, making that actionable. And then on the, the employee side of the workforce, we just wanted to get rid of or get away from ever being asked, hey, is this big brother? And so, what we've done is really turn that much more into a macro level view, because what we found is without getting down to individual data, that we could still drive, very similar kind of ROIs for customers and really produce these, valuable insights that they were looking for inside of their business. And so, we've really resonated or narrowed down, I guess, our two primary offerings, namely into this contingent workforce space where there's, enormous headroom, a lot of value, and value, where we think it's balanced, both for the supplier as well as for the company. And then, I'd say on the workforce side. And so we're really happy with, a lot of the, insights and transformation that we're helping our customers and, enabling them to perform right now.
So your workforce analytics that works on contingent labor, contract, SOW, and internal workforce?
Yes.
Across the board.
Across the board, but I would say our portfolio is probably 50-50. So, a lot of our customers will start on the contingent workforce side, and then they might, deploy us onto the remainder of the enterprise. So a lot of places where we start it has been in this on the contingent workforce side.
Interesting. So Brad, about 15 years ago, I was in consulting and I was working for Entergy, which is a huge investor-owned utility. And the president of the organization asked the CFO, how many people does it take to run my company? And he said, I don't know, whatever the employee number was, 14,000. He said, no, I didn't ask how many people we employed. I said, how many people does it take to run this company? The CFO came to the CPO and said, help, how do we even figure that out? Do you know it took us 6 months of consulting to get a head count of all of the FTEs and partial FTEs that were supporting that organization? And we only guaranteed 75% accuracy after 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is like, that should be table stakes today. You should know how many people are working for your company. You should know how many are contractors, how many are SOWs, how many, and we had no insight into that. And that was just 15 years ago. So what you've been able to do and bring to the table is incredible, yet alone to say, how is the workforce working, yet alone who is the workforce?
Who it is. And that's another big question that we answer is also, so the real question or one of the thought processes from your old CEO is really, where do I have hidden capacity inside of my enterprise? And if we have this, maybe we can take advantage of that and really improve our cost structure. And what we're finding across the board, I would say on average, there's about 30% of excess capacity across any contingent workforce.
Wow.
And at times even higher. And so, the argument for us is that the only way to get there is to really be able to kind of understand, like get real-time data. And so, the simple analogy of whether you like sports or don't like sports, I have this, kind of, interesting analogy that in 2008, I'm not a big New England Patriots fan. Don't hold it against me. I live in Dallas, but I respect everything that Bill Belichick and that dynasty has built. And one of the things that I remember was watching a playoff football game. It was like a 4th and 1, biggest call. And the commentator says, Bill Belichick's whole life and history and gut feel, is being drawn upon to call the right play right now. Fast forward to 2022, there is not a professional sports team in the world that is not supplementing that experience and instinct and gut feel with data. And so what Sapience has really been able to do is to provide in 15-second increments the real-time data, what's happening in your business. And if you don't have that, you're just relying on either experience, bias, gut instinct. So, I personally believe, and hopefully, knock on wood, Sapience continues to be the market leader in this space. But, 10 years from now, people are going to look back and go, how did you ever operate a business without this data. We're not here, to tell customers how to run their company. We're giving them another highly valuable avenue that will make their decisions better and make them hence, much more efficient at a whole array of activities.
No, I love this. So I know you help companies with their workforce data and insights, and obviously it's an incredibly compelling business case and why they should use you. But you also have been very involved with SIG and very supportive in your sponsorship. So can you tell the audience, why are you so involved with SIG?
So, if I had to give kind of probably top three reasons behind that is, I think that, number one, I've been fortunate enough to be involved in it. It's obviously a premier event, right? With top procurement executives. And so it's hard to be able to get, high quality people at a high quality event where you really have opportunities. I would say secondly, for us, it's an incredibly effective way for us to be able to get our message out. What's funny, our business is growing, over 50% per year on a CAGR over the last 5 years. We only have 2 salespeople in the world. So,
my Lord, are you serious?
Yeah. So the importance for us, a lot of what we do, it's word of mouth. It's participating with the right thought leaders that go similar to what you just said. I mean, you would be an ideal, hey, we should talk about what we're doing. And so, so we've been able to do this. We continue to invest, 95% of our business goes into our R&D and product, which is where we think that, this war is ultimately going to be won. And so, for us, there's a certain outreach that's really positive. But then the second part is, it gives us a lot of thought leadership opportunities because, our business isn't about where we are right now. I'm already 3 years down the road. And, so if you look at our product management and what we're trying to do from a roadmap perspective, I know that, Sapience is only going to be as valuable, to a chief procurement officer as our roadmap can stay current to what their challenge is and how our data and insights and what we, collect and present back are going to continue to be relevant. And so, going to a world-class event like SIG, we get a little bit of all of that. So, we get a little of the network, we get a little of the feedback. We also get to participate or, hear through on tracks where we're understanding, geez, what's everybody thinking about next year and the year, so we can validate what we're doing from our R&D budgets, et cetera. So it's a win-win for it's a big win for us, an investment we're, of time and effort, money and everything else that we're thrilled to make and will continue to make.
Well, we love hosting you all the time. And you have a keynote at our upcoming summit, and I don't want to give away the whole story, but can you share a little bit about what your keynote's going to compose of?
So I'll give 3 little teasers. So, so I think our team's done a really great job of, I'm going to try to keep it interesting. There's going to be a little World War II analogy on here. And so, one of the key themes is about maybe looking at different, in different places or a different way of really being able to, drive more value. And so, one of them is our ability to be able to kind of help companies transform and, rethink of how they think of contingent workforce billing practices. And, if rethought in the context of our broader kind of historical theme will be pretty cool. Combating inflation is a, kind of interesting theme. And I think something that is keeping, everybody up at night right now. And I think, the third part would, is around, being able to do this while still maintaining, healthy supplier relationships, but different, given, with extreme transparency and openness that benefits both parties. And so, I think we're taking some pretty, big topics and again, trying to weave that into something, that'll be fun and interesting with a little historical perspective. And, we were able to find something that was not known to me prior, but something that probably changed the entire outcome of World War II that, most people don't know about. And they were able to do that by, really figuring out different places to look and different strategies given a lot of changing conditions.
All right, now I want the answer to that. What is it that you found? Huh.
You will have to attend the session, Dawn, which I know you will. Guaranteed.
I'll be there. So since most of the folks that listen to this podcast are involved in procurement, sourcing, outsourcing, and third-party risk, do you have any top 3 ways that why they should pay attention to you?
Well, 100%. I mean, if go back to what I probably just hit upon, but if you think of, if you're battling inflation, if you're trying to figure out, if you're having, challenges around contingent workforce staffing, turnover, top talent retention, decisions around, locations, how to embrace a gig economy, trying to become a more data-driven organization, so on and so forth. We are definitely the people to come spend some time with and take a look. We're doing some magical things out there, and a lot of it, it sometimes comes across as it's a cost focus. So what's been really interesting for us is we've been growing, and certainly, yes, finding hidden capacity and more efficiency, but in this context and environment, a lot of what we're doing is helping to, stem attrition, trying to, help companies really understand who, which suppliers are your biggest, bang for the buck, so to speak, who's the, where can we go to, really try to, wrap up who your top performers are inside that contingent workforce. Cause, that change and turnover and disruption has really bad downstream impacts to, projects being delivered on time. And frankly, we're seeing companies now, I mean, contingent workforces, you have to have almost a single badge environment. I mean, they're making up 30 to 40% of entire enterprise workforce. And so, there are new tools and methods to do that in a much more effective way. And frankly, a lot of the work that we do, it frees up procurement professionals, to maybe focus on more strategic things, or to, have less painful to try to extract some of these, basic elements about, where the money going, who are the suppliers, how are they performing? And also I'd just say really helping to enable them to be much more successful in how to shape, not relationships from the past, but, into the future.
Well, you've given some very compelling reasons why they need to come by and stop at your booth, talk to your folks, learn about Sapience. If they don't know, they need to know. And that's one thing that I'm really passionate about. You don't know, if you don't know what this company does, you don't know what you're missing out on. And so make sure that if you're listening to this, you go by the Sapience booth, you spend some time, you study it, because you don't know what you don't know. And they're constantly changing, as you just heard from Brad. So I do challenge people that this should be on your shopping list to go by and take a look when you come to the SIG Summit.
Thank you, Dawn. No, and please stop by or come hear me speak, or whatever the case. That we're always looking to make new friends, and I think it'll definitely be worth your time. We're definitely on the bleeding edge side of this business, but we think we're right. So.
Well, I love your energy, Brad. You always make me smile when I see you. You are so approachable. You're just so human. So I just want to thank you for your time today. We are at a time, but Brad, since you have a 3-year roadmap laid out, can I invite you back to give them an update?
I would love to come back anytime. This is your world. We do as Dawn asked. So that was rule number 1. So yes, 100%.
Okay, good, because I'd love to have you back. Folks, this is Brad Killinger. He's the CEO of Sapience Analytics. And thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate everything.
Thank you. And folks, tune into another podcast series very soon. And hopefully we'll see you at the SIG Summit.
Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the Sourcing Industry Landscape podcast through iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Want to nominate someone for an interview? Email us at info@sig.org.